I was pretty defeated last night when I discovered yet more rust. So I decided to pull the pin on it last night and sleep on it and come up with a plan. So folded these up this afternoon. I'm gonna see how it looks. So yeah, I'm gonna obviously have to trim it around the tubs there. So my goal tonight is to get the other side cut out the same, so I can get this rear cross member out. And then once I've got that rear cross member out, then I can fit these panels in and test fit them properly. So I'm very, for lack of a better word, confused about why this panel here had a nut and bolt in it, because it's spot welded through this section, I believe, and it's spot welded to the rear section, which is attached to the fucking rear quarter. So I'm just trying to work out why it was bolted, because I thought, oh, I'll just take those bolts out, hit it with a hammer and knock it out. That didn't happen. So I just got to work out, or unpick it here. I'm still trying to work out why they bolted it if it's spot welded basically. So just stupid stuff. That's me. Got this side out. It's not as bad, or through the floor section anyway. But that might be worse on this side. So. And like I'm trying to work out why there's rubber there. So. So I'm going to start trimming off this inner floor pan piece that I folded up, because obviously I gave it some extra length. So I'm going to just start trimming it up before I cut the old rusty stuff out, just to get it to fit a bit nicer, so I can see if I need to trim anything else before I cut this out, which I'll probably end up cutting it through along there on the other side of the rail, and then it's all pretty good through in here, you can see, and so I'll probably end up cutting it along there and across, which is all on this side of the rail, so I can do a nice bottom underneath, because you won't see this anyway, and it's a bit harder, it's harder to weld in there than it is from underneath. And I've got to get this, I'm going to cut it along here and fold up a new bit of 3mm or 2mm, I think it's 2mm, instead of trying to unpick this whole section. And I'll pretty much do that on both sides. The bottom floor layer taken off. Now, as you can see, the rail is full of dirt and a lot of flaky, crusty metal, and I believe there would have been a couple of crush tubes in there, perhaps. Not entirely sure with that one, but it is pretty crusty around the top of the leaf spring hanger, so I'm going to get all this cleaned up and suss that out. If I need to address that, now is the time. And it does have a little bit of play in there, so I just got to be careful I don't mess with the geometry of the leaf spring at all, which I shouldn't. It's only got a little bit of play because I've cut this bracket off here, and obviously the quarter section, so it should be okay. So I'll do the other side, because I dare say I'm going to have the same drama. Got all the dirt out, and it's a little bit crusty in there, so I'm going to treat all that, try and get all rid of all the scaly stuff. And I'm actually going to go through and measure for some gussets inside there, just to give it some extra strength, because it's obviously weaker now that all that rail is pitted. So I'm just going to put some strength back in there while I've got it exposed, and I'll also, while I'm at it, put new crush tubes in where the bolts for the tow bar would have been. But I'm not doing that tonight because I'm struggling for a little bit of motivation. So I find when you're struggling on a bit of motivation, it's good to pick some small jobs so you're still getting something done. So this is the interior trim that holds the top of the roof lining in. So this one's pretty crusty looking, so I'm actually going to get a template of this so I can get a new one laser cut. Now what I'm going to do for that is I have some A3 sheets of paper for scale, and I'm actually going to tape those together, lay them out, and then take a photo of that, and the A3 bits of paper will be referenced to scale that, so I can get some draftsmen at work to sort that out for me. I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but in the grid line here I've got like a crosshairs. There we go, crosshairs, and that's going to help me keep it say level when I take the photo of this, and sort of center it up, and then they should be able to scale it from that, and then we can fine tune it from there, and then that way I'll have a nice new piece, probably in stainless as well, because why not? And then I won't have to deal with the crusty crap and one less thing I have to fix. I've also traced that onto that A3 bit of paper. That way I can leave the part here, and I've got something to reference off, take this to work. And that way I don't need to risk damaging that just in case. And that way I can check it. So I followed this up like a week ago now, and it actually isn't going to work. Just get it around there. That's going folded in a straight line, and this rail, see, you can't really see there, but it's actually not a straight line. So plan B, I made a template of that angle, which you can see there. Cut out my new bit of sheet metal, tip that edge. I've got to clean this up a little bit more, but I can't actually fit it in there to test fit it because I've got to fold it and trim it and stuff. So I'm just going to pretend like it is going to work, and I'm going to do the other side, and then if it doesn't work, do something else. Fingers crossed. Take two, mate. Marking out for me fold and for my trim as well. So it's 85mm, so I'm just going to mark 85 there, and it's a 20mm fold. So I've got this tiny amount of excess cut there, and down the other end it's like 10mm, 10mm I think it is. Yeah, that's it. So 10mm, and then 20, and I'll use my bench as a straight edge. Oh, that's cut line. And that is my fold line. So I'm just going to trim the excess off and fold that up, and then I'll have to dress this up because it's not quite flat. Well, I'm not too worried about that until I put it in the car because it could be wrong. See what happens. Alright, so new plan. Although this with the fold on it had the right profile to meet the rail there, it's still too flat, and the rail actually kicks up as well as kinks. So I've cut one just below the fold line, so I'm going to put a 20mm fold on a flat and then trace that through, and then I'll weld it. So that is tomorrow's problem. But yeah, I could probably get it in one piece, but I don't have the time to mess around. Put metal back in. These two pieces made up. I need to tweak them just a little bit. For now, I'm just paint prepping the other bits and pieces that need to go in first, and I am coating the rail, the inside side of the rail, in some rust guard. And then once I do that, I'll turn the heater back on and let that dry overnight, and then I'll hook in tomorrow, get these sections all welded up, and then I can tack this back off, do my inner quarter guard, like the inner panel, and then I can get the outer skin tacked back in, and then I can get back on the parcel shelf, weld that in completely. So then next weekend the roof lining can go in. It's coated inside the rail, gusseted around where the leaf spring shackle is, and I've made up a new section for this that was all rusted out. I got to plug weld it here and underneath, and then not that one. Then this section is going to then get plug welded to that. Now originally it was bolted with a bit of rubber in between, and I think that had something to do with the like a shock absorber type setup for the rear bar, which I'm not going to worry about, because if someone runs into me, we're going to have worse problems than a little bit of rubber's going to help. So I'm just going to plug weld it to that, and then the new section that I've made up for here, I'm going to have to trim up to suit this, but I'll get to that when I get to it. And yeah, same thing for that side. Alright, so I've got these inner sides sort of just mocked in. Got to play with this edge, but I've actually got another angle coming back down that will get spot welded through there. So I've just left this long. I'll trim it later. This one's pretty good. This one I need to, you'll see there, need to go that way. So I need to adjust a few things on this one, but it's getting there anyway. So, but yeah, I've got an angle, comes down through here, same as here, come down, get spot welded there, and then fully welded across there. It's going to warp a bit, but as you can see, the tub's pretty rough anyway, so it's, yeah, you won't notice. And I've already done that front edge and it didn't move, so we should be fine. So I went through and spot welded every 50mm on these edges. I've still got to sand them up and clean them up, and there's a couple of bits of weld I still need to do, but I'm just going to leave that for a second and finish the parcel shelf because the roof line is going in this weekend, so I need to get anything cab related done. So I've got a couple of little rush repairs in the floors to do before Saturday. It's now Wednesday night, so I'll get to that. So I've just gone ahead and marked it every 25 on this one, just because along this back edge they were actually pretty close. Same with here, and pretty much here I've just marked it where the spot welds used to be. Just no big deal. Done a sample. That one was running about 15. About 15. So I turned it down to 10. It's still pretty, strong enough. So I'm going to run with that. Probably going to have to adjust it on the fly. It's a bit thin in areas, but we'll see what happens. So this is all spot welded up now. I had a bit of trouble because I painted that bottom lip, so I had to go through with the finger linisher and clean that up so it would earth properly. Once I got that sorted, it was mint. I've got to go through, and there's a couple of spots I don't know if you can see, but we're almost drilled through with the spot weld drill bit. It's just a bit thin, so I'm just going to TIG those up. And then while I've got that going, I'll plug these up, but I'll probably just use the MIG for that. And then I'll just clean them up a bit, not that you're going to see it. And then with this edge, originally it would have been spot welded, but it's pretty crusty, so and I can't get the spot welder in there, so I'm just going to put a few stitches on that. It should be fine. Next up on the rust repair list is just the edges on this grommet hole are all just starting to rust away. So I'm going to probably just cut a square out and replace that. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So I've just cut an oversized bit of sheet metal with a hole in it. I've got a bit of, I think it's actually 4mm, the round hole, and another bit of 4mm with another round hole. And what I'll actually do is I'll line that hole up, which is the same size as a hole saw drill bit, because I'll end up drilling that hole once it's all pressed. Line that up like so, and then use the press and press it. So I remembered actually halfway through doing this that I actually needed to alter this design so it didn't go so deep, because this was for another, I made this for another job. So it went way too deep than I need, which is fine. The way to fix that is actually have another one underneath so it bottoms out less. But I just eyeballed it on this one, but it did slip a little bit and was off center. So the way I fixed that, well, I tried to get it with ammo, that didn't work. So I just took it back over to the press and just sort of offset it just a little bit and repressed it. And made it even. So now I just need to get a hole saw, drill that hole, and then I need to decide if I'm going to weld it a square or drill another hole saw so it is just a round hole. I haven't made that decision yet, but I'll make that now. Maybe round, I don't know. As you can see, got the heater set up. It's not really painting weather, but we don't have time to wait for warmer weather. So I'm just using some rust guard, kill rust stuff. Just going to brush that on. As you can see, I've done it to those two sections, so I'm just doing it to the other two, and I'll probably give this one a coat. Well, not so much because I've already put some stuff over there, but get that done. It's this morning now, but anyway. I'll let it dry overnight. So, half the shelf painted, the floor all painted. So now I'm going to build the roof. And yes, I know that the blue isn't quite colour matched, but I'll use the can up and then I'll get them to adjust the colour. So stage one of the car builders is done. That's the sound deadening, which we know from Zach's wagon is good. It's so much better to put it on with no ridges. And stage two is the insulation. So I've cut it to size, so I just got to throw it in there, test fit it, and put it on. I got the insulation layer done. I've made the mistake of making it a little bit too neat, so I split it in half, but it was still a bit neat. As you can see, the edges are a little bit wavy there because it got stuck to everything, because this stuff is like super sticky. So in hindsight, I'd probably trim it up a little bit looser, but it came out alright considering. Okay, so I don't know if you're going to be able to pick this up on camera. I got the ding in the center out, but it's still, as you can see there, just in a little change of light, it's still sort of there, but I sort of wanted just to live with that just a little bit, because I was starting to actually put dings back through this way, which was annoying. So got that out just by using some basic hand tools. The original plan with this was to shape it just to use this, but I couldn't get it in the tight corners, so then I shaped a little bit of aluminium just to get it a little bit tighter. The reason I used aluminium is because it's softer than stainless, but I did have some stainless tools as well, which is why I started to dig it back through this way. And I had a bit of hard plastic, just to not be something too hard, just a little bit soft, just so I can lightly tap it and get that ding just to pop out. And then I went through with my orbital sander and a microfiber cloth and some polish just to blend it. And then once I did that, I need to do the whole lot so it looked the same. And then because I did that, I did my other trims. And it's just that quick, it can snowball. But I didn't want to go too far with it, so I just brightened them up. I could have went to town and put this on the buffing wheel and went to town with it, but that's not what I was after.